Hi, I'm Luke, 39, and 3 months ago, my wife texted from her parents' house. I'm not coming back until you buy me a new SUV. I replied with one word. Understood. Then I cancelled her wine subscription, downgraded her phone, and started printing divorce paperwork. But trust me, that was just the warm-up. Let me tell you exactly how the woman I built my life around tried to hijack our marriage with leather seats and Bluetooth, and how I turned the entire siege into an architectural masterclass in controlled demolition. You'd think an architect would notice when the foundation starts cracking. But when it's your marriage, and she's laughing at your dumb puns and humming in the kitchen while making pasta, yeah, you ignore a few tremors. But hindsight's got 20/20th's blueprints. We'd been married 8 years. Me, Luke, an obsessive planner, builder of dream homes. Her name's Tara. She was magnetic, fun, stylish, and somewhere along the line, she decided I was her personal project manager instead of her husband. It started with the car. I drove a humble, trusty sedan. 5 years old, no frills, just like me. Tara hated it. Hated the way it looked in the driveway next to her friend Danielle's shiny new Lexus. Said it made us look poor. Like our zip code was embarrassing her in front of her Instagram followers. I reminded her, patiently, that we were in year 4 of a 5-year savings plan for a lakeside property, a dream home I was going to design and build myself. She agreed to it. We even picked out tile samples and kitchen layouts together. But that all evaporated the moment Danielle posted a photo in her new Escalade. Tara went quiet. Then moody. Then nuclear. The text came on a Sunday night while she was visiting her parents. No warning, no lead-up. I'm not coming home until you buy me a new SUV. I've earned it. My parents agree. Don't call me until you're at the dealership. No heart emoji. No love, Tara. Just a demand with the emotional finesse of a ransom note. I stared at it for a full 5 minutes. Not out of shock, no, that part had burned off years ago, but because I knew exactly what this was. A power play. A hostile takeover of our lives, staged in leather seats, with a 5-star safety rating. She didn't want partnership. She wanted payroll. And that's when I knew the house I'd spent years building wasn't real. It was a facade with a granite kitchen island. So I texted back one word. Understood. Then I stood up, poured myself a scotch, and opened her favorite wine app, not to reorder, but to cancel every single bottle. Step 1. Cut off the luxury oxygen. Tara's lifestyle was a delicately stacked Jenga tower of recurring charges. A curated wardrobe box. A monthly spa kit. Gourmet vegan snacks we both knew she never actually ate. And all of it, conveniently, billed to my card. So I logged into every account with my name on it and burned it down like a man torching the blueprints of a house he'd never build again. One problem: unsubscribing one by one was like fighting a hydra. Cancel one thing, 3 more emails pop up offering discounts. I needed something cleaner. So I reported my credit card lost. Issued a new one. New number, new life. Within 48 hours, the tower collapsed. Next, I attacked the lifeline. We had a premium family phone plan, all in my name. Unlimited data, international calling, hotspot, cloud storage, basically a digital throne. I stripped her line to the basics: talk and text. Enough for emergencies, not enough for endless TikToks of women showing off their divorced and thriving glow-ups. Then came the streaming services: Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, the works. Changed every password. Not to punish, but to remind her. She walked out. This wasn't a partnership anymore. This was a budget meeting with one attendee. My phone buzzed 48 hours later. Not Tara. Her dad. Now, I don't have a personal grudge against her father, but Robert is the kind of guy who calls you champ and thinks emotional support means offering you a beer. He started warm, pretending this was just a misunderstanding. Come on, Luke. She's hurting. She just needs to feel valued. I said flatly. She texted me a ransom note for a $70,000 SUV. Be reasonable, he said. You're an architect. You do well. A car isn't such a big deal. No, Bob. A car isn't a big deal. What is a big deal is demanding one in exchange for her presence in our home. I told him the same thing I told Tara. She's welcome home anytime, but not as a hostage taker. Not with a price tag attached. He didn't like that. His voice dropped a few tones lower. You watch your tone, son. And there it was. The old patriarch energy. The belief that Tara was some delicate treasure passed from father to husband to protect and spoil like a Faberge egg. Except this egg was threatening to blow up my savings account if it didn't get Bluetooth and heated seats. I hung up. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel bad about it. I felt clear. Like the blueprint I'd been working off had finally been exposed for what it was, a fantasy scribbled on the back of a receipt. It was time to draw new plans. This time, just for me. 3 days later, the war room moved to my front porch. I got home from a site inspection to find Robert and Barbara's car in my driveway, engine still running, a fresh wax job gleaming like a smug grin. Tara was already at the door. Michael, she said with this weird fake calm tone like I was the one being dramatic. We need to talk. I didn't even make it to the steps. Not with your parents here, I replied. We talk alone or not at all. Barbara, in full pearls and powder mode, chimed in with a plastic smile. We're here as mediators to facilitate a healthy dialogue. Oh, this isn't a dialogue, I said, eyes on Tara. It's an ambush. And I don't negotiate with entourages. She flinched. That wasn't in the script. Tara turned to her parents. Wait in the car. Barbara sputtered. Robert looked like he wanted to ground us both. But after a long glare at me, they backed off. Tara stepped inside like she owned the place. She looked around with disgust, as if the absence of orchids and mood lighting offended her personally. You're being petty, she said loud. My phone? My streaming? My subscriptions? It's financial abuse, Luke. No, I said. It's called not funding the luxuries of someone who left. You made your choice. I'm just following your lead. Her jaw clenched. With what money am I supposed to live? You know what I make. I raised my eyebrows. You were banking on mine. That's the problem. She stormed into my office, like she was about to pull off a dramatic mic drop, but she stopped cold when she saw the corkboard. Pinned up neatly were the elevation drawings for the dream home. Our home. Floor plans, foundation specs, even the landscaping lines. I'd drawn every inch by hand. And she knew it. She scoffed, deep, guttural. Please! Your little drawings. That fantasy house was never real. It was your way of stalling. You're not a builder, Luke. You're just a guy who draws. And just like that, snap. Something broke. Not loudly. Not with yelling. Just, internally. I wasn't her husband in that moment. I was just a stepping stone she decided wasn't stepping fast enough. She grabbed her bag. Then, like a raccoon on espresso, she started yanking books off my shelf. First editions. Signed copies. Architectural reference texts that cost more than her purse. Those are mine, I said, my voice flat. She looked at me with a crooked grin. Consider them collateral. And then, she reached for the vellum drawing. The main elevation. Hours of work. Years of planning. The blueprint of our shared future. She folded it. Not carefully. No. She crumpled it like junk mail. Just to hurt me. Just to make sure she left a scar. I didn't scream. I didn't move. I picked up my phone. 911, I said calmly. Yes, my estranged wife has entered my home without consent and is destroying my personal and professional property. Tara froze mid-fold. Her mouth dropped open. No, I said to the dispatcher, eyes on Tara. No weapons. But she's acting erratically and her parents are outside. Please send someone to keep the peace. And just like that, the whole game changed. The sirens didn't wail. There was no grand drama. Just 2 patrol cars rolling up quietly 20 minutes later, the lights off, as if even they felt awkward about it. By then, Tara had dropped the drawing on the floor like it burned her. Her face was a cocktail of rage and disbelief. This is my house, Luke. It's our house. And you haven't lived here in 2 weeks. The cops separated us like we were two drunk cousins at Thanksgiving. One of them walked her outside. The other stayed with me, glancing around at the books scattered on the floor and the crumpled paper. "She's your wife?" he asked. "For now." He didn't smile. Just nodded like he'd seen this exact scene play out 100 times. Tara's voice outside rose an octave, half crying, half performance. I watched from the hallway window as Barbara clutched her daughter like a fainting southern debutante and Robert pointed at me like he wanted to duel at dawn. The officers didn't arrest anyone. They didn't even scold. They just documented. That was all I needed. A formal, third-party record. Because here's the truth, this wasn't about punishment. This was about process. I wasn't burning the house down. I was marking every beam, every crack, every flaw in the design. I was preparing for the real demolition. 3 days later, I met with my lawyer. I told him everything. Showed him the police report, the text, the streaming cancellations, the destroyed vellum. He didn't say much, just leaned back, tapped his pen twice on the desk, and smiled. "You're 10 moves ahead already. The next 6 weeks? Hell. No way to sugarcoat it." Tara lawyered up with some Armani-wrapped shark who probably had a custom license plate that read PYEP. They hit us with a stack of demands taller than Barbara's hairdo. Spousal support, exclusive use of the house, and, of course, the mythical SUV. She even tried to get a temporary restraining order based on my aggressive financial control. My lawyer brought the receipts. Literally. We ended up in family court. Tara arrived dressed like she was auditioning for Real Housewives of Mediation. Her lawyer did all the talking, painting me as some emotionless miser who wanted to trap his wife in a carless prison. Then it was our turn. My lawyer handed the judge a packet. It included Tara's text demanding the SUV in exchange for her return. My calm, one-word response. The incident report from the police. My financial records. Screenshots of Tara's public Instagram showing new handbags, spa weekends, and a post captioned, "Living my truth. No more compromise." The judge skimmed it like he'd already seen the ending of this episode. He didn't buy her act. He denied her exclusive use of the house. No SUV. No restraining order. But he did grant temporary spousal support, a hefty one. "She has a lower earning capacity," the judge said. "And you are still her husband." Tara beamed. Her parents hugged her like she'd just been crowned queen of divorce court. Let them celebrate, I thought. Because what they saw as victory was just the opening ceremony. If the courtroom was a battleground, the next few months were trench warfare, legal, psychological, and financial. Tara's victory lap was fast and loud. Her lawyer set up a civil standby, which meant she got to return to the house, with a police officer, to collect her belongings. I wasn't allowed to be home, which was fine by me. I didn't want to watch her try to turn her Louis Vuitton luggage into a guilt parade. She took everything she could. Clothes, makeup, jewelry, throw pillows, the nice coffee machine, gone. But the officer had limits. No touching my office. No touching my books. And definitely no taking the flattened architectural drawing now locked in a frame on the wall. When I walked back into the house, it was emptier. But lighter. Like someone had ripped out the old carpet and taken the mold with it. The months after that were just paperwork and posturing. Discovery phase. Depositions. Mediation sessions that went nowhere. Tara's lawyer pushed hard for a payout. A huge one. He kept saying she had accustomed lifestyle expectations. Like she was a duchess I'd kidnapped from a palace and forced to live in a mid-century split level with no sauna. They wanted a chunk of my retirement. Half my savings. The mythical SUV, still. And permanent alimony. Permanent. Like I was supposed to fund her future Netflix binges until the sun burned out. My lawyer never raised his voice. He just built our case like I build homes, solid, patient, methodical. Meanwhile, Tara was out there trying to win the war on Instagram. She kept her account public, which was either a gift from the gods or a total lapse in judgment. Every week, there was another post. A champagne brunch with the girls. Spa weekends. New dresses. New shoes. A cryptic caption. Sometimes you have to lose to win. Yeah, she was losing alright. My lawyer had me document everything. Dates, captions, bank statements. She was spending her support payments like she was still living in my house, but without the income that paid for the chandelier candles and turmeric face masks. She burned through nearly $20,000 in 5 months. Not on food. Not on rent. On vibes. The irony? Her lawyer didn't stop her. He probably encouraged it, thinking the court would see it as maintaining lifestyle. But a judge sees through curated brunch posts. Tara wasn't building a future. She was burning fuel for a fantasy. And the tank was almost empty. The foundation of her case was cracking. And I was already drawing up the demolition orders. 10 months after the SUV ultimatum that kicked off the implosion of my marriage, we finally reached the endgame. It wasn't some dramatic courtroom finale. No gavel slam echoing through the halls. Just a fluorescent-lit conference room, a pot of stale coffee, and 2 lawyers who'd rather be anywhere else. Tara showed up looking tired. Not broken, just tired. The designer glow had dimmed. Her bag looked a little worn. The polish was still there, but it had that desperation sheen, like someone's still wearing party makeup at 9 a.m. Her lawyer opened the meeting with the same high-stakes poker bluff. We want a full division of retirement assets and permanent alimony. Mine smiled, nodded once, then slid a binder across the table. Let's begin, he said. Inside was the blueprint of her own undoing. Exhibit A, her initial text message. The demand for an SUV in exchange for returning home. Exhibit B, the police incident report from the day she ambushed me with her parents and destroyed my property. Exhibit C, a side-by-side of her Instagram posts, dresses, spa trips, champagne, and her bank statements, showing exactly how she spent nearly all of the court-ordered support money, none of it on rent, bills, or job searching. Exhibit D, the kicker, documentation that she refused full-time employment, even after the judge at our earlier hearing explicitly said she should start working towards self-sufficiency. My lawyer said nothing more. He didn't have to. Tara's side blinked first. Suddenly the demands got smaller. No longer a queen's ransom, more like an exit package. Permanent alimony? Off the table. They begged for a few more months of support, rehabilitative alimony. A fancy way of saying, give her a little time to figure her life out. Fine. We sold the house. Split the equity. After legal fees, her share was decent but definitely not the yacht she'd been banking on. She kept her car. I kept my books. I kept my professional assets, my retirement, and my savings. And the SUV? Never even came up. But the aftermath? That's where the real fallout landed. Her winnings were gone faster than the support checks had cleared. First it was the deposit on an overpriced downtown apartment. Then came the new wardrobe to impress people who never liked her. A few more champagne dinners she probably thought would buy her way back into her old circle. But the invites stopped. So did the Instagram likes. And then reality called, and it didn't have heated seats. Tara got a job. Not at a gallery. Not at a fashion house. Retail. Full-time. Commission-based. The girl who once mocked me for using coupons was now scanning barcodes and smiling through sore feet. As for her parents? Oh, Robert and Barbara were done. After dropping thousands on her legal fees and watching her torch the golden goose, they finally adopted a policy called tough love. No SUV. No handouts. Just Tara. Alone. In a beige apartment with thin walls and fading selfies. And me? I moved out of the big house before the ink was dry on the settlement. Got myself a smaller place. Clean. Quiet. Walls that didn't echo with sighs or sarcasm. A new coffee machine. No curated boxes. No arguments about countertops. But on one wall, framed in glass, hangs a restored vellum drawing, the one she tried to destroy. Not because I still wanted to build that house, but because it reminds me of the most important thing I ever learned. A dream built on entitlement is never a dream. It's a demand. 3 weeks after the divorce was finalized, I walked the perimeter of a small, wooded lot about 40 minutes outside the city. I'd found it a month prior, modest, secluded, affordable. No lake view, no private dock, no 5-car garage. Just trees, soft ground, a breeze that actually smelled like something other than exhaust and bitterness. A realtor followed behind me, clipboard in hand. "Not much out here," she said. "Exactly," I replied, smiling for the first time in what felt like years. I put the down payment on that plot the next morning. It wasn't the dream lot Tara and I had saved for. That one had been lost in the rubble of designer handbags and broken promises. But this was mine. Entirely. No compromises. No ultimatums. No luxury tax dressed up as affection. I started drawing again. Not elaborate sketches for a showpiece mansion. No winding staircases or glass elevators. Just a simple cabin. 2 bedrooms. Exposed beams. A wood-burning stove. A porch wide enough for a rocking chair and morning coffee. Every line on the paper felt like therapy. Every inch measured with intention, not impression. In the evenings, I sat in my quiet apartment and took actual joy in the silence. Not the tense kind of silence that filled our house when she was angry. Not the kind that buzzed with expectations left unmet. This was the silence of peace. Of self-reclamation. And maybe the best part. People started coming back into my life. Old friends who'd quietly slipped away during the Terra era started reaching out again. I didn't even realize how many people she'd pushed out, how many times I'd made excuses for her behavior, convinced that she was just stressed, or just being strong-willed. Turns out I wasn't. The quiet guy with the difficult wife. I was the guy everyone used to like before I disappeared into her curated world. And now? I was reappearing. I joined a local architecture co-op. Started mentoring 2 interns. Took a few contracts designing mid-size family homes, stuff that actually mattered to people, not just trophy builds for couples who didn't even speak to each other at dinner. And one night, about a month after moving, I took the crumpled drawing down from the wall, laid it flat on my drafting table, and studied it again. Not out of nostalgia, but because I wanted to remember what it looked like when I confused fantasy for partnership. Tara had treated our marriage like a contract with amenities. And the moment those amenities weren't premium enough, she tried to renegotiate, with threats. But I wasn't a leasing agent. I was a husband. She just never wanted one. She wanted financing. And I finally stopped offering. Last week I saw her. It was purely by accident. A grocery store near my new place, one of those mid-size ones where you always feel like you forgot something. I turned the corner by the frozen foods aisle, and there she was, Tara. Hair up in a quick bun, no makeup, polo shirt with a retail chain's logo stitched near the collar. Holding a barcode scanner. Ringing up frozen peas for a woman in yoga pants who didn't look up from her phone. She didn't see me. Or maybe she did and pretended not to. Either way, I didn't linger. But I'll be honest, there was a flash of emotion. Not victory. Not pity. Just a strange, quiet echo of who we used to be. The version of her I fell for 8 years ago, who used to dance barefoot in the kitchen while pasta boiled. The girl who laughed at my bad jokes and told me my blueprints looked like poetry. Before she started measuring our life against Danielle's SUV. Before she believed she earned luxury by marrying someone with ambition. Before the entitlement calcified and turned into concrete. I left the store without buying anything. I didn't need food. I just needed confirmation that I hadn't imagined the whole thing. That she was real. That she had actually happened. And then she was gone again. Back to someone else's cart. Back to a life built on the sand she mistook for marble. My new place? It's small. But solid. Every beam and screw, intentional. I framed the drawing she tried to destroy and hung it in my office. Not because I mourned the dream. Because I learned from it. It reminds me of the day I stopped building for someone else and started building for myself. Sometimes people ask if I'm dating again. I say no. Not yet. Not because I'm bitter or scared. But because I'm busy laying foundation. Not for a house this time. For a man I actually like being. One who doesn't compromise his own blueprint just to stay in someone else's showroom. So no, I didn't buy the SUV. But I got something better. Freedom. And the silence? It's not loneliness anymore. It's the sound of a cleared lot, waiting for something honest to rise from the dirt. The kind of thing only a patient architect could build.